clarification again.
Again.
That does say good to pass it if we put
Three meetings later.
We got it right before it passed.
We did.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. A rough sheet has been passed around. Everybody signed it, it's here. So we'll now ask for a motion of approval of the agenda. Have a motion. Have a second. All in favor, state the same.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any public comments? All right, moving on to the approval of the minutes. Lisa took the minutes out earlier in the week on previous meetings. Are there any questions or comments on any of them? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from October 10, 2025, October 23, 2025, October 30, 2025, and November 13, 2025.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion for a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is open. Do we have any open?
Just a question, are we making any progress on getting the TCRS guy back here?
I sent an email out to him on Tuesday, asking, listing those three things again and asking if he could not provide them to tell me who could. And I haven't gotten anything back from him. Kay did tell me that she and Alicia had spoken to him and that he was working on it.
Anything else under old business? Moving on to new business. Item A, employee pay scale. Just open up the floor for discussion.
I'll start. During the last budget cycle, I met with all the department heads, and three in particular, Public Works, Parks, and Airport, who unfortunately had to put us. They had employees that they felt like had the same job descriptions as other departments, and were paying the same people, well, different departments for the same job, different pay rates. So the thought was, how can we fix it? So we got all our greatest minds in city government here today. So what's the solution? Does anybody have any solutions? Anybody have any suggestions? I know we did a pay study in 2020. I mean, maybe the first step would be to do a new one. But that was kind of my thoughts on it. And maybe Mr. Butt over there, who has some of those type of employees, he may have some suggestions as well, because I know he's the one that deals with it every day.
Yeah, I think what has limited Public Works is a compression. Okay, the difference between a laborer, a truck driver, and everything else. Back when, what was it, 21 or 22, when we had this pay scale and everything come about, we fixed some people on the top end and we fixed on the bottom. In the middle with mine, because there's I have a lot of different job titles within my department, it's kind of squeezed. So if I'm not sure, Trevor, what do your laborers start out as right now?
Well, right now, this according to this, anyways.
Not according to this, though. This
Real numbers.
real numbers.
It's after the 4%, I believe we got raised up to, because it was 1550. And I believe it's now topping up just over 16.
1720
1720.
For-
Oh, yeah.
just a new laborer, full-time laborer coming in.
Yeah, so this isn't anywhere close to right.
Yeah, our
Yes.
So where are you starting at?
1604.
See, and the way I see that is, if they're doing the same labor, they should get paid the same amount of money. So we should take whoever is the higher one and raise the other employees up to meet that standard of the high.
And that's one thing that
the way the pay study and the scale was done before and started being implemented to get carried through, is that when the company, Mr. Thompson, come in and reviewed it, he took job description, shared responsibilities, and like created, I guess it was like if you were a level C, he had them categorized so that if you fell, no matter what department, if you fell into a similar responsibility, you were in a group. And that was what was really, I think, comprehensive and good about that study, because he did that within the city, but then also did that, in peer review with other cities, which, is listed on here. And so, and I think that's important because, like for my department, my lieutenant might have a different responsibility set than a lieutenant at another department. So he looked at the roles and job descriptions to create that, kind of that chart, and compare that chart where, what police department might have a sergeant doing what a lieutenant's doing in another department. So he did it by not just titles, but by roles and responsibilities. And so everything was categorized pretty good. And I think we're Bucks, in Bucks department, and I can speak for my department, in that initial attempt to reset, he had given all of those different descriptions to different titles of job market value. So this is according to your, this survey of peers. This is the percentile of where each of those positions sat, right, within that. And so what the initial thing was to go fix the people that were at the most, disparage, I don't know what I'm talking about, who were the most out of whack, and try to even everybody up, and then go forward, in incremental steps. And because that was never completed, it kind of felt like now it's led to compression.
Yeah.
We didn't stick with the plan.
Me interject one moment though. And please don't think I'm disagreeing with the council member. But first, should we review all job descriptions? And, if we are going to do a new pay study, should we review all job descriptions? And as it was discussed, similar duties, that way we're comparing apples to apples, and do that as step one.
In the previous, because when I first started here, they were in the process of doing a self-pay study that I got brought in on. Yeah, it was a lot of time, hours that went out the door. I still have the stack of papers, but then it went on and it got approved to do the pay study. And one of the first things is I got with the departments and said, let's get all of our job descriptions, get them right, because that is what he needs, because he is going to do the comparison by the job duties. And I do just want to bring up a thing, and Ginger, I think maybe you can speak on this in regards to when I first got here, there was a lot going on because public works laborers made more than like the park laborers. But there was also a value put to the dangers that, because they're out on the roads and am I remembering that conversation correctly?
That sounds correct.
That because of their job duties being similar, but where they're actually at while performing those, it added a level of,
That was a factor in.
yes, safety and in all of those.
It's
types of
considered
things.
higher risk.
Right. So that explained, but now it's flipped, and it's because of compression.
So I guess, well, you asking us if we need to do that, or if we need that to be a part of a third party pay study.
Well, if we are going to give these job descriptions to the possibility of a pay study, we need to make sure they're correct. So every single department head needs to sit down with HR, review, and make sure if we're gonna move forward.
Yeah, and
And to that end though, every single time that we have a job open, and part of what Stacy already does, which is great, is she asks us to review that, that description. Hey, is this still good? Is this exactly what you want us to be? Is this what you want us, to be sent out and posted? And so to her credit, I'd say that within the last, since I've been here, that I've seen that as consistent. So we did all this work on the front end that says, hey, we got all our job descriptions correct. And then she's upkept that by every single time we need to post a job, she comes to us and asks, hey, is this still correct? So I think that we're, at least in my opinion, we're probably pretty close on where we need to be job description wise.
In theory, yes. The only added step that I would like to make sure that we do is you sitting down with the actual person that does that job, because you scan over it and you're like, yeah, just clicking all these boxes. But they could come back to you and say, oh, but remember, I've been given this. Oh, but I'm doing this. Oh, but I'm doing that. And that is where we need to close that gap to make sure if we do go forward and have a third party, that when because that's going to be one of the first things he wants is a list of all the job descriptions. And they need to be as complete as possible.
We do use other duties as a sign.
what's that now?
We do take advantage of other duties as a sign.
I think that's in bold in a lot of them. I think that is across the board, top to bottom.
I believe Kevin's going to start his second career as a decorator.
Yeah, yeah, Christmas decoration, professional. One of the things that we're doing in our department, because it's a struggle, it's bad enough that I gotta compete with all the other towns, but to have to compete, with another department for basically doing the same thing. So I'm looking at, a level 1, labor type position and a level 2 type labor position, to where that makes, it's gonna compress me a little bit more, but there's reasonings behind the compression, but we still gotta fix the middle. I mean, what the last thing did, and I think Matt kind of spoke to it, but I just want to reiterate it, it set the bottom and it set the top. So, and that was the most important thing that we had going on, because we had guys here 30 years that never really got to the point that they were supposed to be. So I think the next step that we were going to do with the step system was to be able to give, the supervisors, the directors and everything, the ability to fix some of that compression, but it never got implemented and it never got, taken forward. I think this would have solved itself if that would have been followed through there and we would have done that and been firm with it. So I think whatever study that we have done, I mean, I just think we have to have complete buy-in and follow that study and implement it in the way that it is set up, so we don't have to come back every 3 years and reinvent the wheel. I know my department's a little bit different. I got operators, I got truck drivers, I got sign room, I got all different things that normally, with a park, they got janitors, they got laborers, they got that. The compression is when you go out and you spend the money and you maintain a CDL, I can't have that only be 20 cents more than if you don't have one. I have to be able to have people want to get their CDL. That only helps the city. That's to be a benefit to them moving forward.
Was there something built into the pay scale if an employee got additional training or certifications?
I think there was a line for those kind of things, like
Yeah,
a general type of a.
yeah, and it was merit based to the, just say if it was a 2%, I can't remember something in a state where if the employee was, punctual, doing a good job on all rounds, then that 2% was coming. If it was somebody that wasn't meeting expectations, or that was kind of in a review process, then they might not be eligible for that 2% step. And then there was also like, I think a 5, 10, and a 15, Eric, can you help me? A 10 and 20, there was a 10 and 20 step for seniority, where if I was in the same position, as a 20-year employee, I got a bump compared to someone that had been here 15. So it was like a 10 and 20. And so what has happened since that time is people have hit those earmarks that other people got their initial bump on,
And they're not getting a
and
vote.
they're not getting it. So, but, and I think, and I think that at the time, some people cringe at the thought of the 2% being performance-based, where I think that was absolutely necessary to have buy-in from the employee, and not just be it's different than a COLA. It was,
It makes the evaluations mean something.
I think the merit-based evaluation is something that we should definitely be in. For sure.
And I believe, if memory serves me correctly, when the pay study was implemented, that was the intent, that there would be a COLA, but then there would be the merit base, depending on the evaluations, which could be 0, 2%. They gained a step. Am I correct in that? That was
Up to 2%, merit-based, and I thought we even talked about setting the floor on COLA of 2 or 2.5, to be reviewed, of course, but it was in there that was gonna be the minimum COLA, and then the merit, the way that I understood it, was, you could have 0.5, 1, 1.5, up to 2 for the way that the employee had performed.
it was set for 14 years, but to be reviewed every 3 years, I think, 3 to 5 years, there's a few to make sure it be competitive.
You're participating right now on his update, aren't you?
Yes. I'm actually working on getting him hopefully what he needs. And of course, there's got some nuance to some of our madness, but yes, which that will not be, that's just gonna be a generalized.
Right, that's for his information. For
Yes,
his
and
database.
he will eventually, when he's finished with that, anyone participating will get that for free.
So we can see what other people are.
The salary study that was done a couple years back, how out of whack are we with that right now? That are we so far out that we have to get a new pay study and that's the only way forward, or is there any pathway back to us
I think so.
utilizing that?
Well,
It doesn't have to be redundant. I mean, it can just be reviewed.
that pay study actually was finished in 2020,
Okay.
but it did not implement to 2021 because of what 2020 was.
Yeah.
So it just kind of was halted. So before it ever got brought and was implemented, it was already a year.
It was already a year behind.
Uh-huh. But the structure, I think, is already there.
The bones are
yes.
good, I think,
Mhm.
but
And
pay-wise, I think we're back to where we started from, real close. And when you go this amount of time and with things that's happened because of COVID, and the hiring process, people are, they priced us out of the market to get, employees that, you want to get type deal. So trying to get a truck driver, that's tough. We're down 3 truck drivers right now. Trying to get a laborer is tough. We're down 4 right now. 2.
We built
Up
2
to-
positions.
Yeah, so we just filled 2, we were down 4, so it's, and, they still gotta go through a 6 months process and see if they're even gonna make it. So,
So here's another question then. If they do a new pay study and city council says, hey, this is great, we want to implement this. Is there any methodology that city council can employ that when they vote yes on this thing, that it stays active for X amount of years or whatever it is in order to ensure that the pay scale gets adhered to? No, but
They can, but council, every council.
But every council, they could just go back term, okay.
You can't contract with yourself.
But if it's implemented and it's adhered to, it kind of becomes precedence, you know what I mean, instead of hit or miss.
Right. But I mean, it seems like that's been the biggest shortcoming is that we did this thing and the city paid money for a pay scale and then didn't adhere to it. And so that's why we find ourselves back in the same situation we were.
That's
Staff didn't even adhere to it. And didn't help, but if it becomes precedence, then I mean, it becomes something that's common sense and it's a tried and true practice because, you know, when this was first done and started in 19 and 20, we were, you know, losing, you know, I say specialized people, but people with advanced certifications that take a lot of money, time and training to bigger departments that pay more and all that. We're losing them to smaller departments now. You know what I'm saying? So internally, and I think that's true with just about every department, we're not even losing them to peers. And I think that to me, that's the biggest difference between 19 and, you know, pre-COVID, you know, if that's an excuse for everything. But I mean, that's just a fact of life now, that we're not, whatever we're doing, you know, and I know like we're hitting it from all angles from, you know, the benefit side too, but that's a reality. I mean, we lost some pretty key people to communities that are not even, you know, close to half our size, so.
And I know if there were more hours in the day and I had the energy, I could work on getting the numbers of the continuous backfilling. And that costs money. You can't put a dollar amount on the knowledge that walks out the door.
How many, do you know roughly how many, or exactly as you get your notes out?
Well,
How many,
no,
just like
I,
last year, how many employees that,
y'all have a conversation. I've got it in here, so I don't want to lie, so.
I think the percentages aren't understood by a lot of people, just how high it is. I think she could have someone in her department that just did onboarding and offboarding processes.
Just, you know, to make sure I say it and don't forget it, I believe this is the most important thing for the city to move forward is to take care of this. We're losing our resources. We're training for other towns. We can't, it's harder and harder to retain them. You know, I can get new equipment, but if I don't have anybody to put them in it, you know, it does me no good. The way I turn over truck drivers and laborers and everything, a little bit of stability, a little bit, make it a harder decision for them to go somewhere else. This is important. This is important for I think the city's well-being as far as keeping employees.
So it sounds like whoever did this study is still in the business of doing studies.
Yeah.
So surely it would make sense to go back to them and ask, I mean, they've already done the study 5 years ago.
Like an
Do
update.
you actually think you do an
Yes.
update for less than it would take for somebody to walk in off the street that's never?
Right now.
Because they have kind of priced into their service and review,
Yeah.
like I said, 3 or 5 years, so.
Yeah.
Not
reinvent the wheel.
We're off the schedule.
This group was recommended by him. Used to
Yes.
that.
You used to do it internally.
And then they now, these
Too big for you.
for doing it in coordination with Intas.
But she's helping them do their database right now,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Yeah, so we're helping them already.
So-
They'd like to help us.
Yes, we'll get their survey so we can see kind of what goes all around, but
Yeah.
for them to look at our job descriptions and figure out where everybody should be slotted, that's what we're paying for.
Did they do one-on-one interviews too?
They went to each department, and
Not every employee, but like one truck driver, one labor, this kind.
It wasn't that expensive, though.
That's ridiculous.
I always heard it's number 30,000,
I didn't think it was even near that high.
but
I don't
that was when I first
wasn't
rolled in.
Didn't.
The last part of this, I think that, this attachment 3, City of Shelbyville, and it has everything listed out here. This was sent out by Kay, is that what that is?
All this was sent out by, Stacy.
This part, okay. Because I just wanted to gain some understanding on this possible pay steps up to step 7. It shows it.
What are you looking at?
Looking at these.
Okay, if I'm not, that is the actual, that's the actual pay study that we were implementing back in 2020.
Okay.
This was the actual, and each step, if I remember rightly, each step was 2.5%.
Yes.
Okay.
And we came in at, because we were coming in to start us on the path, we came in at like, at that time, I think it was step 1A. Is that right, Stacy, do you remember?
It was
Okay.
a little different because depending on if you were here for 10 years, you got another pay
You got
step, 2 years. I mean, 20, you got another step. So it was,
But we were all, at that time, we were all put into the categories over here to the pay grades. And then everybody came in at one of those steps, 1A, 1B. And then the intent was for you to get a step, every year based on the COLA and based on the,
But
merit.
have these been updated recently in that,
This,
somebody
No.
highlighted
They're
step,
just showing
step.
you where we would be.
That's
Okay,
where
where
we
we
would be right
okay.
now if we followed that plan.
That's what I'm, okay.
well, this hasn't been touched since it was submitted.
And
But somebody said, highlighted step 7 to show, hey, this is where we would be. Okay. Oh, the midpoint, that's what, okay.
And that was based on steps and without a COLA, where we would be.
Okay.
And that was the thing, it took, if I had XYZ position that was at 90% of the job market at that time, and I had this position up here that was only at 50%, or in my case, it was probably 30, then it gave all of those kind of a level up. Like, we can't get everybody to 100, but we're gonna shoot to get across the board up to 85 and get everybody aligned. So that was a bit of a sticker shock, you know what I'm saying, throughout the system when it went to council. But once we got to that, then everybody was leveled up, and then everybody would start the individual 2.5. That was the idea of one. Because like I said, you can't just go, well, you can, but when you just go across the board every time, then it just ends up getting discombobulated. And so when that first sticker shock was, failed, it was like, okay, well, step 1, instead of step 1, have them go back and refigure. So they were like, okay, we'll go to step 1A. And then that didn't exactly go. So it's like, okay, well, we'll go to step 1B. So you see what I'm saying? We never got to the step 1 that would at least leveled
everything out, okay.
And to implement, it was depending on where you were and where you should be on the percentage. Some may have gotten a 5%, some may have gotten a 3 or an 8, and because it was all over the place in order to get you in line with this, it was random. And I don't have the individual, okay, this person got this person got that, this person, I mean, I can manually do it because I have access to those numbers last year of where they were and where they came from, but I do not have a report for all the employees showing what, like 3%, 7%, or 5%, or however it worked out. I didn't have that access to that information.
get that other though.
Now, I'm looking back, I was I know I reported it last year, but maybe I had it written down on something else. How many new hires I had that made it through the entire process and actually at least started for one day. But I know I reported it out in a staff meeting.
That's what I was gonna say. I think you reported it at a staff meeting, but I don't have my.
And this is my book that I normally write everything down. It was up there. And that does include all of our part-time, seasonal, those positions. But it still has to be included because that is time that I have to spend on every body, physical body and that did not include people that either walked away or didn't pass one of the requirements. But it was up there, and that's a lot. But if
The number 70 or 80 out of 260 employees, that gets to be a
Pretty good number.
pretty large percentage.
And my point is, if we could get this right, that number will come down because they're gonna stay. Not all the time, and nothing is ever gonna be perfect and nothing is a fix-all, I get that, but when there's one and the numbers grow with the employee total, every year, at least by a few, which is good. But when you're having to continuously have that cycle in and out, and then those that are in the individual departments that are responsible for taking that new hire in and doing the training and stuff, that wears them out.
We're not protecting our investment. You make an investment with everybody that we hired. For 6 months, a year, that 2 years, that 3 years, we're investing in them, and other towns are grateful. They go there.
I'd like to get to a place to where we're, I don't know a better way to say it, but more intentional with our hiring. Instead of just trying to plug that position.
Let's have choice.
That's sometimes what I think.
Yeah, you know, what you're saying. You're just hiring what you can because you gotta fill the spot.
Hey, they can show up, pass, and
Yes, sir.
Either one of us.
I mean, you say that.
and I wish there was a better way, but that's how we want.
Well, and I mean, just
No,
like
sure.
sworn positions. Pat and I only got so many school sessions a year to get someone in beauty school. So just like the other day, like I had a new hire and he was hired after the deadline for the February class. So I don't even get to send him to his rookie school until fall. And I mean, and you take that and a set of turnout gear is $4,500. A face mask is $1,200. I mean, just those bare minimal things, not to mention that our, apprenticeship time or FTO time takes, as longer than those initial processes before you ever got anybody that can really be able to go out and operate. I mean, it ends up being huge. And then you get them up to operational status and, there's a little town down the road that is going to give them,
More money.
more money, and they're like, have turnout gear, have gun, will travel, bye. Yeah. And that's the thing, it goes back to the TCRS or not just having those benefits that are attractive to try to get more people that are already certified. But either way, we got to figure out a way to, stop bleeding.
Well, this committee, I don't think can order a new pay study, but we could send a recommendation to the council, I think, to go ahead and order a new pay study. We could either do it without a dollar amount, or could we find out by next week and get a dollar amount and send it up with a,
I'm in contact with him already, so I'm
Yeah.
glad to reach out to him and
we could,
Bring that to the study session.
For a comprehensive.
for a complete review and have them, just like they did with this one, I like the option, because the council's gonna want some options, so have them say what it would cost in this study to get all the way to a step one, do like a couple different options to get there. Could we, what it would cost doing 1 year, what it would cost to get us there in, 2 or 3
And I'm sure he has all the data and whatnot, because I actually, a lot of this stuff that I got from him after the fact, because when it was originally implemented, that was going on to the city manager, and I did not have my hands or access to this, so I can reach out to him and basically ask him to get some numbers for him, basically just repeating what he did the last time.
just what he would charge us to.
And motion.
I will do that as a motion, I guess. I guess we can do it without, I mean, you'll have the dollar amount. We could just have it to be on the study session with the dollar amount at that point.
Do have a motion to make a favorable recommendation for a new pay study to be placed on the February study session. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Lisa, please call the roll on this.
Member Doak,
Yes.
Member Claxton,
Yes.
Member Freitas,
Yes.
Member Mathis,
Yes.
Member Gilat,
Yes.
Member Blevins,
Yes.
Member. What else?
Yeah.
That got everybody. Okay, that is a unanimous recommendation. The actual final motion to recommend to the city council to authorize an update pay study and for staff to provide costs for that.
Any other business? Maybe next to that.
Do we want to have a meeting next week? Next week is, hang on just 1 second. It is a short week, we aren't working on Monday, so it's the 22nd, and, we will not send this to the, council by then, and I don't know if I'll have PCRS by then.
I say, if we don't have PCRS info or some info back on this, then,
Yeah, all you're gonna get back from him is just a cost for it, I guess, which this committee doesn't need to.
I didn't know if we might have more additional information about what it would take, or want more information from us.
Right, to be able to provide those numbers.
Yeah, I was thinking, I wonder if he could come and talk to y'all about what might be needed that might.
We keep it on the books and then
Leave it on the books.
keep it on the books, and then if it doesn't look like anything else is coming,
We,
we can just cancel
so do we
it.
need to back up and punt then? Would we need to reach out to him and see about having him come in and talk to the committee and then move forward? Is that what I'm hearing, or?
Basically, if we almost, I know we don't have permission yet, but we'd almost be starting the process that one. Just go ahead and have him come in and talk to the department heads and,
Like we have with the
yeah,
insurance and the, okay.
if he's available.
And
Because the week after, we'd already decided we couldn't meet the week after,
On
so.
the 29th,
Yeah,
Wait
29.
a minute, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about.
why were we not gonna meet on the 29th?
We had the growth meeting the day before, and then there was some other reason we
That's
talked
right.
about last week.
Somebody can't
Scott
be here.
brought that up last week.
There was some other big meeting that week. Yeah, but the growth one for sure was the day before.
So no meeting on the 29th, and at this point, we're still gonna meet on the 22nd, unless he can't be here, or I don't have anything from
You
TCRS.
don't have anything. you're supposed to-
And then if that's the case, then we'll come back on the 5th.
Yeah, this is about them, maybe TCRX.
Yes, we should.
I will speak to him when I get back up there.
I'll send another email on that too.
You're just reaching out to see if he can come next week and speak to them
At 9:30
about
next
the
Tuesday.
Generally, what the
process
process
of
would
the
be.
league.
Yeah.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? If not, I hear a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
I have a motion, second.
Second.
Meeting.